Hello folks and welcome to today's show. We're going to be previewing the All-Ireland football final between Galway and Armagh. Alongside Michael Verney as always, and delighted to say we have Roscommon manager Davy Burke. Davy, we'll start with you. How are you?
Hi lads, how are you doing?
I'd say you don't know what to do with yourself this weather.
I've plenty of time now. All right, I'm enjoying the break now, lads. I have to say, after a few weeks in the doldrums and down in the dumps, I'm enjoying it again.
What was it like? How would you sum up the season? Or is it just a roller coaster? Or are you just constantly on the move, and by the end of the season, then do you sort of collapse in a heap?
You couldn't have summed it up better, Shane. It really is a roller coaster. It's too intense. Like, it's unbelievably intense, and you don't get time to breathe at all. And particularly when you're like us and you have a few hairy weeks mid-year, doesn't help things either. And things get tough, and there's just no let up. There's no breathing space at all. And then you come out of a Division 1 campaign and you're straight into a Mayo and straight into a Dublin and straight back to Mayo. It's unforgiving, So literally for the couple of weeks after, your body just breaks down. You're literally just shattered. And obviously whatever adrenaline you've been operating on kind of works the opposite way and kind of gives your body a bit of a kicking,
Does your personality make that even more demanding? Because I know from chatting to you before, and even bits you've done with the papers and stuff, you are full on. When it's on, you are full on.
I'd say that we're all the same, to be honest with you, Michael. I'd say we're all the same, really, in that, I'd say the vast majority of managers in Division 1 or whatever at that level of football are lunatics, because you can't do it any other way. You have to be full on. You have to be all in. And you have to be pretty selfish, which isn't a nice word, but it just is how it is. You have to give it everything for the 7, 8, 9 months, and then take a month off to sort yourself out again. But it is. It's unbelievable that the intensity. They need to look at it, because, Jesus, the shelf life in this gig is getting shorter and shorter, I'd say.
And is there any day in particular you can think of when you would just completely press to the pin of your collar, like yourself, physically, emotionally, whatever it might be?
Well, no day in particular. As I said, when particularly in Division 1, and a couple of weeks when results aren't going your way, and media are on your back, and morale is low, and yourself, the public are, your supporters, everything like that, and you're trying to ignore all this, sort all that out, and prepare for a Kerry or a Dublin as well in 3 or 4 days' time, that kind of way. So that's not easy, but then again, that's where you want to be. That's where the learning comes, and that's where the enjoyment comes, is operating at that level, So it's very, very enjoyable too, but you definitely need the downtime at the end of it,
Yeah, so we've got the band back together from 2022. Enda and Davy doing a podcast together. Enda, how are you? Surreal to have it all back together here.
Yeah, how are the lads? How's things?
How are you?
I had to get out of the car here to get away from the kids. Some peace. 5 minutes of peace.
What's it been like for you, Enda, this year, watching from afar, and also behind enemy lines, coaching Raheny?
Yeah. I can feel it. I only obviously did the podcast with Davy, and he was, I suppose, managing for many years at that stage, and he's on about shelf life there, and I'm only getting to see what he means now. Obviously, first year at it, so it's very you have nearly, you're thinking about 30, and then you have kind of back from we have 4 or 5 lads above the management team, and you're kind of thinking you're thinking 24/7 about, you're going to bed dreaming about bloody the setup or players or what you can do. And now that's obviously inter-county, you're going up. There's levels to this, obviously. So go to the inter-county game, I can only imagine it's up another level. So I can only feel for you, Davy, to be honest with you.
Davy, when you said they're going to have to look at it, what do you mean? As in how jam-packed it is altogether, or what do you mean there exactly?
Yeah. Well, the structure of it, it's too tight. They need to either find another week or two, to give us a bit of breathing space. It's crazy that every 7 days you're turning around facing another top team and trying to prepare, and there's literally no breathing space. I know if you top your group, you get 2 weeks, but is 2 weeks enough? Even if you look back at the hurling and look back at different things, is the 2 week break enough or this weekend to get Sean Kelly right, to get Comer right, to get your best players right for an All-Ireland final? are we squeezing ourselves too much? And like the thing with him, Michael, is the players like Sean Kelly, you'll see it with his hamstring, or you'll see it with his ankle, or Shane Walsh's ankle, or whoever. So that's the way you'll see there. But the strain on the back room, the strain on the management, the strain on everybody else, it comes out in different ways. We don't pull hamstrings, we just wreck our own heads, you see, that kind of way. So that's the difference there. Like, so you'll never really see, or you might see an explosion of emotion, or you might see something. That's the management or the back room or whoever, that's their build-up of fatigue, or their build-up of whatever the version of their, that kind of way that the players will pull up. Whereas the people involved, and there's upwards of 20 people involved in most of these teams in the background, and they've all different ways of showing it,
Hey, Davy, bring me back to the night after the Dublin game where you said about the amount of training sessions you'd done. Jesus, the place went wild.
Did Shane not get the memo? I said, don't ask me about that. No, look.
I got it, right?
It was very much like, that was including meetings, you name it. That was including every time we chatted that year. People went mental altogether. It's like as if we trained that amount of times, you'd want to have a good look at yourself now. So, look, again, speaking about emotion, I probably wasn't my best that night. And, that came out that way. And look, there's plenty of learning in that for me too. But, people want to, find something better to be doing, wouldn't they? Really, that kind of way, like as if we were training that often. But look, it hung around for a few days, and then hopefully something else happened and kind of moved on.
Enda, how excited are you looking at the prospect of Galway winning an All-Ireland this Sunday?
So I'm getting slagged all week about this, saying, sure, geez, how could you not be up for Galway? Lads, I'd be up for Galway if they won it and didn't slate me and slag the shite out of us. Like, I have no problem with Galway winning it if they actually left us alone. But the fact is, if Galway win it, they're gonna absolutely go to town on Mayo, obviously. So that is the reason I'm afraid I'll be supporting Armagh this Sunday.
and rightfully so, they'll have a cut actually.
Look, well, there's another story for another day, Michael. Now, obviously we've had our chances. Probably from my own point of view, probably the 21 final would be the most one we got strung with. I would say the last 10 years, probably 2013 and I think 21 were the two finals were going in as slight favourites, and I think Galway this Sunday are slight favourites against Armagh. So look, it's not look if Galway win it. If they do it, go on the big day and do it, fair play to them. You can only applaud them and go. That's the way it is. That's life.
Davey, let's just even chat about the game on Sunday. You would have obviously come across both teams fairly consistently over the last couple of years. Like, everyone's kind of billing it as pretty much a 50-50 kind of affair. How do you see it just in a general sense?
Yeah, I think it's a very, very tight affair. I think they're two very good teams. I would just lean towards Galway being a bit further down the road. I know that might sound strange, and that this Armagh team seem to be together for a long time, but I just think the Galway side myself are probably have better footballers and better use of the ball and probably better set up in that. I'm not sure, I think they might have be more adventurous than Armagh will be and at times, and I think that will stand to them. So I just think personally Galway are just further down the road, and I just think at this point in time they're a better side than Armagh, and I think that will get them over the line. And even the stuff with the bench, just to briefly touch on that, I don't really buy the same level of the bench. Like, people are really underestimating this Galway bench. You've an all-star on it, that kind of way. You've Johnny Heaney on it, who for me is one of the top most consistent footballers in Ireland, week in, week out, who changed the game against Dublin when he came in and took up Brian Howard and completely cleaned out Dublin's kickouts. Like, you've Daniel O'Flaherty, you've Kieran Malloy, you've Tom O'Callaghan. I'm just not keen Darcy's playing well. If Kelly starts, Darcy will drop out. If Darcy starts, you'll have Sean Kelly on that bench. So I'm just kind of wondering what the big, I think the Galway bench has been way underplayed, which probably suits Joyce and the lads lovely now, to be honest with you,
Sorry to cut across you, lads. Davey, obviously manager on Sunday. Sean Kelly, I think he's been training the last 2 weeks. Would you start him with a dodgy hamstring, or would you bring him off the bench? What's your take on that?
4 weeks now, Enda. He's fit. He has to be fit. He's had 4 weeks since Dublin, right? He hasn't played since then. You can clean up any injury within reason, within 4 weeks. He was left out the last day, to start the All-Ireland final. I'd start him in the All-Ireland final. I don't think they've used Kelly very much off the bench in my memory, very much at all, have they? No, they'll start Sean Kelly. There's no doubt they'll start him, no doubt.
And just on that, Davy, because if he does come down and break, if he does come on and break down, then it's 1 on, 1 off, and then your bench has been hurt as well. So if he is going to come off at some stage, you're probably better off starting him and getting what you can out of him and only using the one sub.
Yeah, and the likes of Keane Darcy there has been brilliant, lads. Brilliant, unbelievable. He's been, and you'll probably come across him in the club championship later on, and he's been very, very good, in fairness to him. And, he'd be, if Kelly has to come off, so be it. When it's earlier in the year, I would have thought it would have a bigger impact in Galway. They seem to be developing serious strength. And even if Sean Kelly comes off, you drop John Martin midfield, you put Johnny Heaney centre forward. Jesus, I'm trying to write out teams here for matchups, and my God, there's serious strength and depth there, serious.
Galway's middle third, lads, they've improved so much. That half forward line, it's real modern day football now. They have 5 midfielders on the team there starting, and that's without Sean Kelly starting.
Yeah. But their athleticism, their football, they're serious. Their middle 8 is where it's at. That's why without Shane Walsh and Comer firing, and even Finnerty carrying a bit of a knock by the looks of it, Galway are still in All-Ireland final. That kind of way without their inside lines firing, which is phenomenal achievement.
Do you know, Joyce was talking about the physicality of his team, and you've touched on it. He said that's something we've looked to get into Galway, is a bit more of an edge, because we would probably have been seen as having a soft centre over the years. So do you feel, Enda, that that's changed? Obviously, you'd see a lot of Galway over the years.
Well, yeah, you're talking as the half-backs, midfielders, half-forwards there, lads. They're all 6'1" plus. They're all big boys here. That's the modern day football. They're all athletic. They'll cover serious amounts of ground. That middle third there, lads. You're talking 10, minimum 10K will be covered on Sunday there. That's what you're talking. Full forward line a bit less, obviously, but even they're getting back to pitch now. So it'll be. I'm really intrigued or interested in terms of the kick-out situation. I know Armagh usually drop off the kick-out. I think it's going to be really cagey in the first half. They're not, the two teams, they're not exactly risk takers here, and All-Ireland final is just going to really kind of intensify that. So it'd be really interesting. This is going to come down in my mind. I just think this is a draw written all over, to be honest with you, lads.
Davey, would you take up that point in terms of the kick-outs? Are the teams going to sit off each other? Is it going to be the crowd from both sides is going to be going nuts for the throw-in, and then all of a sudden one team wins the ball. Whoever doesn't win the ball puts 15 behind it, and it sucks the air out of it, and it becomes really tight and tense.
Yeah, it'll definitely be like that. Knowing the way Armagh play and also knowing Cian O'Neill, it'll 100% be cagey. And as Enda said, the bigger the occasion, they'll both want to feel their way in. Neither team will want to concede early. And I'd imagine, now whether that's the right thing or wrong thing to do, it'll happen. That will happen. And Armagh do concede a lot of kickouts. I was in Sligo a few weeks ago watching them in their last round of the round robin there, both sides. And both sides conceded a good few kickouts with the wind, against the wind. It didn't really matter. Both sides were conceding a lot from open play and then squeezing, from frees and restarts and different things. So I can see, we do a very, very good press, a very, very good zonal press, in fairness to them. They're big, strong men. They take the short off you and they look you to go long. And as Enda went through there, they have a lot of men over 6 foot out the field. But the one thing I've been very impressed with Blaine Hughes, I have to say, he's been very, very good. Obviously, Ethan Rafferty would have been number one there in everyone's book, really, and Blaine got in, and he's been excellent. And his variety in short, medium, and long kickouts probably took me by surprise in the quarterfinal. How accurate he was, even against his own press and different things. So Armagh do have a very, very good kickout strategy, but I do think we're in for a lot of conceding kickouts and teams setting up. And Armagh love to set traps down the sideline, so they look to concede the ball to the corner back, and they'll try to send you down the wing and use the sideline as an extra defender and collapse in on top of you and everything like that. But the only thing I think is, for me, there's no poor footballer at all in this Galway 15 at all, and they're in their 20. I think they have a serious level of skill set in the team. So there's not that many traps that work against this Galway team, because you give them too much ball. It's nearly going back to being like Dublin a number of years ago. You sit off Dublin, you're giving Johnny Cooper the ball, he won't give it back to you. You know that kind of way. Now you're kind of getting to a similar level, I think, with this Galway team. If you give them too much ball, like Armagh kind of found out in Sligo, after 53 minutes, lads, Galway are 5 points up. The game was done. The game was done. I was there watching it until Gleeson had, a 5-minute wobble, and the game was over, and even going back 2 years ago to 2022, when the clock was 71 and a half minutes, lads, Galway were 116 to 13 points up. And a month ago they were 5 points up on the 53rd minute against Armagh. There's no way in my mind this Galway team haven't learned from this and will let this happen a third time. Like, I can't see it. So I wouldn't agree with the draw. I don't see it going that way myself personally. I think there should be a winner on the day, I think, to be honest.
And is there any frailty like what he's talking about there that Galway will have learned from it? Could it actually just be another recurring nightmare that they do give up the lead again?
Yeah, look, obviously All-Ireland final days take a life of its own here, lads. So yeah, Galway are going to learn from 2 years ago. That experience has surely stanched them, lads. I just think, Davey, maybe like when you get to an All-Ireland final, the day it takes on a life of its own here. So the middle third area and execution can be interesting your take on the Armagh set plays here, going down the stretch, 10 minutes to go. Armagh look like to have them set plays. I don't think Galway, are as well. I'm not going to say coached because obviously they are well coached, but it's interesting to get your take on last 10 minutes of the game. Armagh have set plays and they seem to know exactly as a collective unit what they want to do there. Galway not as much. What's your kind of take on those scenarios?
Yeah, I would agree with you in that Armagh definitely have set plays in that they bunch in the spine or they bunch up the D and they look to create marks left and right, or else they'll create depth. And so they absolutely, and it's very visible. They've done it against us. They've done it against Kerry. So they've done it a couple of weeks in a row. You have a
couple of set plays yourself, Davy.
Not as good as the green and red ones, obviously. Galway don't, to me, strike me the team to have them type of set plays, but I do believe they're very, very well coached over the course of 70 minutes. I probably wouldn't be a big believer, to be honest with you, in myself, in that I prefer to set my team up, have a plan, have a framework to play to, and then you need to trust the lads within that to go out and play what they see as well, off the cuff a little bit, So whereas Armagh, and maybe this has been some of their downfall over the last number of years, are they too set up? Have they too much going on? And are they confused? Now, I don't know if they are or not. And in fairness to them, they're not on final. What a job they've done, and they're in there with a 50-50 chance or whatever they have. So they're, and they're beating Kerry and they're beating Roscommon, they're beating everybody else. So fair play to them. But when they were 4 points up or whatever it was against Donegal, and they couldn't see that out. So it's just they're the questions I'd be asking. Is there a little bit too much going on in the players' heads? Whereas I'm not sure the likes of Shane Walsh and Damien Comer, to be honest, Enda, want that. I wouldn't say they would be the type of lads. I don't know them from Adam, but it wouldn't strike me as the type of lads now that want to be hamstrung with hands up in the air. I'd say they just want, let us have the ball there and we'll let us away here.
Is that just coaching what you have, Davy? Like, if you have players that love formulaic kind of play and we're going to do this and we're going to play this way, if you have lads to play off the cuff, surely, or want to play off the cuff, surely that's what you kind of promote.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look at the teams, lads. In fairness to Galway, they have a massive forward line, like Matty Tierney, Damien Comer, Shane Walsh, like Sean Maher, Killian McDade, and Rob Finnerty in one forward line, like it's outrageous stuff, right? So I don't think it's any. I would think Galway have a better forward line than Armagh, right? If you let them play, if you just let them play. So if you want to throw the ball in and play football, I would imagine Galway would win the game, right? If that's what happened, But so Galway obviously would be encouraging off the cuff play, a framework, and then play from there. Whereas Armagh have look at the job they've done, an unbelievable job to get to this stage of the championship after years and years of quarterfinal exits. And maybe they've needed to add in that structure to get over the line for their players, for their personnel, that kind of way. Because we all don't have the same level of talent. We all don't have the same level of ability. We've got strengths, Dave's strengths. And in fairness to McGeaney and his crowd, he's obviously identified that, and even reading some of the media in the last week or two in the build-up, I think they've been very open that they went out and, to try and they went out to try and find the 1%. I think I read the other day that where are they lacking? And I even read that he sent down, who was it? Aidan O'Rourke down to manage the minor team, Kieran McKeever went to manage the minor team in 2018 or something like that to go find young lads. And now Oisin Connolly and Peter McGrain have come out of that. So, they're really, really digging deep. And I think there's no doubt that Armagh probably are the tightest group in the country, I'd say. And they are, really resilient, and I'd say if you tell them this is the set play on the 65th minute in this position, I'd say they'll carry it out to the letter of the law, that kind of way. And it clearly suits them clearly it's just them. I just don't think, from an outsider's point of view, the likes of that suits Galway, to be honest with you.
No.
Yeah, some players love that though, don't they? Especially when they've lost very few games in the last couple of years. They just haven't ended up as the winners on the day, shall we say. They've lost in penalties a few times. Having that little default of, okay, when we get to this position in a game, we're going to do X, Y, and Z to try and prevent the outcome that has happened a couple of times. Some players love that, and particularly when things are going wrong, they love a little system or a program that they can go back into that they feel comfortable with, shall we say.
Yeah, you'd have your shape, Michael. Like, yeah, like Jamie's on about frameworks there. You'd have your certain shape that you're trying to break down a blank defence, and that's the kind of framework. And then you're looking for lads to do things. Can you pivot defence? Get over the first line defence, and get into that D and get the backs facing their own goal, and having runners off the shoulder and finish out your runs, all the usual type of stuff you'd be talking about there. That's the framework. But with Armagh, obviously, it is really rigid. Like, and to Davy's point, I don't think. Look, when you have talents like Homer and Walsh, like, it's very hard. Like, yeah, you want.
We've lost you there, Enda. Can you hear
Can you hear
me?
me?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
back in. Yeah.
No, you don't. Look, I was saying that you want, obviously, look at the forwards. Like, I put it this way, lads. This is going to be a bit controversial here. Who's the best forward on Sunday?
I like it.
Yeah. Well, obviously, you're going to say Walsh, but after Walsh, who's the top 2 or 3 forwards on display now on Sunday out of the 2 teams? Give me the top 3 out of the 2 teams there, lads. Walsh is going to be number 1. Walsh is going to be number 1, is he?
Comer.
Is he definitely number 1? Yeah.
Is he? Go on.
On form, is he number 1?
Look at it like this, lads. Hang on, we're only it's only 2 years away from Galway being an All-Ireland final. Like you're talking about taking on life of its own. These boys have all been here. But just on that, and Walsh kicked 8 or 9 points 2 years ago, so he has to be the best forward on display. Whether he's been carrying knocks and all that, he definitely is. Himself, Comer, and probably Turbot are the 3 best forwards on display. I'd say probably.
And who were your 3? Reno O'Neill in there?
I look at it. Reno O'Neill has to be in there, lads, as well. Like, Jesus Christ, like he's like Comer. Like, my issue, like Comer was disappointing. Look at it. He'll have obviously 22 All-Ireland final in his mind. He had a disappointing game that day, and you want to make up for that. Like, but like I know, Davey, you're on about the forward line. Like, he's clearly the better forward line, but I think there's not much. The inside forwards between the 2 teams. There isn't like Turbot, Murning, and Reno O'Neill. Like, geez, that's 3 quality forwards here as well, and they'll kick scores. Like, Jesus, like they really will.
Grugan is massive.
Yeah.
In this. He plays that centre forward playmaker role, and he is quality. That left foot, like, we would have really focused in on his left foot and trying to limit the supply. And it's a tough job now. It's tough done. He can accurately kick the ball inside. He can kick scores from distance. He's elusive. Like, he's a good player. He's a very good player, and he really makes them tick.
But here's the question, lads: we're on about Armagh's, being their rigid approach? Like, they've come back, we say, Kerry the last 10 minutes. Is it, and even is it 2 years ago against, or 3 years ago in Galway in the quarterfinal? Is it like when they kind of have to chase the game and play with a bit of freedom? Is that when they're a bit better here? Like, it's no coincidence. Like, they've come back from big deficits. We say against Kerry, they looked dead and buried with 15 minutes to go. You're on about the resilience of the Armagh team, the tightest group here. In terms of resilience, lads, I think Davey alluded to there. Like, Jesus, it's hard. It's hard to get another team that have resilience like this team coming in on Sunday.
Oh, absolutely! Like, they're unbelievably resilient, but they are, right. But look, if Tom Sullivan puts the ball in the net or even fists a score, the game is over. I don't know. Or David Clifford was outside him. Give him the ball. I just and more power there, man, and fair play to for staying in the games. I don't think the level of depth Kerry have that Galway have, to be honest with you. I don't think the level of bench that Kerry brought in, with the exception of Killian Burke. I don't think there's a Johnny Heaney or a Keane Darcy or a Daniel O'Flaherty or a John Daly coming off that bench. So I just think they might be meeting fire with fire, because all the talk I'm hearing is Armagh's bench is going to win it. It's going to be KG, and Armagh's bench will pull them clear with Soupy Campbell and Aidan Nugent and everybody else. But and they have been quality, absolute quality. But I think they're going to meet fire with fire here, and I do think the Galway bench is every bit as good, if not stronger. And that's my take on it.
Is that just recency bias, Davy? Because Galway's bench was brilliant in the quarterfinal, maybe a bit quieter in the semi-final. Armagh's bench was brilliant in the semi-final. It's just what's most recent, really, is what we're falling back on. If you stack them up against each other, you might probably even be leaning in the Galway direction rather than the Armagh direction.
The scales will be leaning one way anyway for me. Anyway, you have to be very careful. It's like if you're analysing an opposition, like Michael, you can't just look at last week. Like you have to be very careful. A lot of lads might fall into the trap of, okay, he was no good last week, so he's no good. We won't worry about him. If for example, if Kerry looked at the quarter final against Roscommon for Armagh, and sure they would have thought Shireen O'Neill's no good. Sure, we don't have to worry about him. Like, you can't do that. Like the previous game only counts for so much. You have to get a basis of 3 or 4 or 5 games and get a bit of form into it, and go from that. So I wouldn't. There's definitely recency bias. We've very, very short memories in the GAA, I think.
Is it a question, David, that maybe the Galway middle third, the subs coming off the bench, Galway have a better middle third subs coming off the bench in terms of the likes of Johnny Heaney, the likes of, we'll say, Sean Kelly or Keane Darcy, or who else? Kieran Malloy. Yeah.
Armagh with the better forwards off the bench. Like, in fairness, between Soupy Campbell, he's been awesome. Like, he's been awesome.
Yeah.
I would say, lads, if Armagh win, he's getting an all-star. Is he? Probably. Potentially. I don't know.
Half time every game scoring.
Could be a curveball, but he's been brilliant, in fairness to him. Like they've Falker, they've Nugent, they've Jason Duffy, they've Ross McQuillan, who's a very good player now.
Charlie Oak,
Charlie Oak had a great game. Jesus.
Charlie Oak, though, doesn't seem to be in favour. Like, he only came on an extra time the last day.
Yeah.
So, and there's a thing going around that Armagh got 1-6 or got 1 something off their bench the last day. They didn't. They got 2 points or 3 points off their bench in regular time. And then Conor Turber came back on, and lads are trying to claim his scores as bench players. And, you have to look a bit deeper into this, lads. I don't think they got anywhere near what people are saying off the bench, to be honest with you.
Davey, in the quarterfinal, is there anything that Armagh threw at you that you weren't expecting? Or is there anything about the way they played that you thought, like, this is more difficult than I initially had suspected?
Not particularly. They're very, very physical, very aggressive, which we were expecting. But until you're in it, you don't really know. And there was an absolute deluge of rain for the first 20 minutes. Just started bang on 5 minutes before throw-in, and the way Armagh set up with 15 men parked inside, literally on the D, it made shooting very difficult. And we'd 32 shots against Armagh, Shane. Like, if you'd have told me going into that game we'd 32 shots on goals, I would have thought, well, we won by 3 or 4 points here, no problem. So
the right spots, Davey. When you look back at like the shooting map, the shot map afterwards, was it from areas that you were comfortable with?
Oh, absolutely. Like when, obviously certain lads dropping the ball short from the D and left and right of the D, they're bread and butter for the likes of our forwards every day of the weekend. And it just didn't happen. And, it can be the weather, it can be an off day, it can be 3 weeks in a row, it can be first quarter final for some lads. All that stuff can happen. And I was, approaching the Kerry game then thinking, well, if Kerry get 32 shots off like we did, they'll have to come out on top here. Do you know that kind of way? Whereas Kerry got 31 shots off and didn't come out on top. So at what point do you credit Armagh's defence? And I do think Armagh's defence has been excellent. The more you look at it, like you were saying, Michael, if we worked off one game against Roscommon, we were like going, Jesus, we felt we should have done better in that game. We got enough shots off to win that game. Our forwards will be disappointed. Now, that kind of way. So that would be that. Then Kerry's forwards are disappointed. All of a sudden, you have to then at that point say, well, there's a trend here. There's definitely a trend here. Maybe it's good defending that's going on here. Like, we were at 39% and Kerry were at 40% conversion. Like, it's just not enough. It's just not going to be enough to win games. And so, in fairness to Armagh, they have a brilliantly physical defence, and maybe they're inviting some of these shots. Maybe they are, getting enough heat on you. Thinking that they'll put enough of them out.
And we'll probably go into some matchups now in a second, but I'm just wondering in particular, probably the 2 man markers on either side, or the 2 kind of marquee man markers, certainly Liam Silk and Barry McCambridge now at this stage on either side. Who do you reckon Silk picks up in that forward line, and why?
Oh, lads, yeah, well, David Lute said it has to be probably Herbert. Would it be Herbert, Davey? I was just going to say, no. Who do you think?
Johnny McGrath all day.
Who's Silk pick up then?
Silk on Reen, 11 and 6. That's what
Yeah,
happened, I'd say. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Like the midfield, the midfield matchups. Like nowadays, lads. Like even the matchups when you're getting 15 men behind the ball here, like it's I have to laugh sometimes when I see a team getting. We say if Armagh gets three, like it has happened in the past, they'll get three all-stars in the defence, and you're thinking, geez, lads, this fucking I could play cornerback here. Like, geez, it's just fucking
Yeah.
mad. Like it is
Yeah.
mad,
Yeah.
but that's. Don't get me wrong. Still have to. Like I know the likes of even our own like in terms of I was saying sorry the midfield matchups like who like Paul Conroy like who's going to go on Paul like that's going to be interesting here now in terms of the midfield matchups because that's your kind of injury room here like what you think Davey in terms of like
Yeah, I think Conroy and Grimley will pick it. I think Conroy and Grimley will pick each other up. I think Sean Kelly will pick up Creeley. I think more. I like Paul Conroy for me is the key in the whole midfield. I think he's up for Player of the Year if he plays well here on Sunday. To be honest with you, I think he's very close to it. I think he's been exceptional for Galway. Right back to we played him in the second round of the National League, and he put on a clinic that day. So right back, he's held his form from 35 or 36 years of age all year. He's been brilliant. So I would think a big one. I think Johnny McGrath and Conor Turbot is nailed on. Like Johnny McGrath's picked up everyone. Ryan O'Donoghue, he'll pick up the inside man. Whoever the inside man may be for that opposition team, he's picking them up and he's been excellent. He's been excellent. Now, the Galway defence don't concede goals. They're real team defence. For me, Galway will target three lads here. I think they'll go after Conor Turbot, they'll go after Rory Grugan, they'll go after Rian O'Neill, and everybody else will be left at it. The rest of them will be left at it and team defence and them. And in fairness to Galway last day, with leaving three up top, they backed themselves in Crow Park to defend with 12 players, and more power to them. Fair play to them now. That's fair going. Armagh won't do that. Not a danger will Armagh defend like that. So, but will Galway then, right? Armagh will obviously be prepared for this. That three of their defenders are going to be kept out of their attack, because now we're all getting used to attacking with 14 or attacking with 15 and, stretching the field and everything else, width and depth and all these type of things. But Armagh need to have a plan in place now that probably Paddy Burns, Aaron McKay and whoever, Barry McCambridge are going to be kept out of that. And they're going to have to hold depth. And McCambridge is a massive part of Armagh's attack. He needs tagging in transition. Like he's a serious footballer,
But you have to, Davey. You have to leave minimum two up top. Like I just can't. Like if you have 15 men behind the ball, like even you turn over that ball. Yeah, I know people are going to run hard. Like, but you need some depth in attack there. To transition that ball up like a kick pass. Fucking hell, you need a kick pass getting off. Even that 30 meter kick pass.
It's one thing ending a National League game. It's one thing in a National League game in January, February when it's piss and rain and you're not going to get the ball up there anyway. That's a different ball game. But in Crow Park, and look at Donegal to a point. Donegal probably suffered a little bit on that, trying to work it through the hands for 70 odd minutes against a team like Galway. When they're equally as conditioned as you, and that's the big thing for me. With Armagh, like Armagh's conditioning is frightening. Like it is. Maybe that's a question I didn't answer right for Shane there. Armagh's conditioning probably not shocked me, but definitely impressed me. And their level of physicality and their conditioning. Whereas I honestly believe this Galway team is at a similar, if not the same level of conditioning on the road a long time. And so what happened for me was, the likes of, just going back to Donegal, Mogan and McHugh kept getting in behind against Louth because there was different level of conditioning, right? Against Galway, they were never going to allow that to happen. They didn't get in behind once. They never got in behind because of the same, they cancelled them out. So that's going to happen again here. That same thing is kind of going to happen again here, that Armagh's physicality and their conditioning is going to be met head on by equally as big lads, if not bigger and stronger. You wouldn't know. So that's another big reason why I would be looking one way.
Just something you mentioned there, Davy. How tricky is it as a manager where you're playing in a lot of provincial grounds and you're playing a certain style, but at the end of the day, like as you say, when you get to Crow Park, you have to kick. It mightn't measure bigger, but it is bigger for whatever reason, and you just will not run the ball to the end of the field all day in Crow Park. Just won't happen. So how difficult is that to, how should we say, get used to that during the league when you're playing in smaller grounds, more compact? You get away with running the ball to an extent. You're almost, what you're doing every Sunday is almost poles apart from what you're hoping to do in June and July in Crow Park.
It's also the conditions you're training in. You're training on wet, sloppy surfaces. That's all to do with the National League. And a lot of the National League is retaining the ball and not giving away bad turnovers because, they're low-scoring games and, they're poor enough fair a lot of the time. So Croke Park plays different. It's a completely different sport in Croke Park than a National League game in the Hyde or Tullamore or, McHale Park or anywhere. It's a different game. Yeah,
no, sorry, David. No, we're on about Donegal there going through the hands. Like Donegal, I have friends in Donegal, and as you said there, the conditions. So they're wind and rain. They don't kick the ball in Donegal because they simply fucking can't. It's honestly, God, honestly, come on.
Do you think it doesn't rain in Roscommon?
No, I know that's true. I know. Yeah, it's more. Donegal's pretty bad though, lads. The weather, honestly.
Have you ever played in Salt Hill?
I played in Salt Hill. Don't worry. No, but
I wouldn't. I wouldn't take that one.
Yeah. Fair enough. Sorry, go on. You're answering there.
What was I on about? Can't remember.
Well, Enda, you're fairly close to the Irish Sea there with Raheny as well, so it isn't a bit of
the weather in Dublin, Shane, they're softer up here. You're getting soft as well, Shane. You're getting soft. You're living here too long.
There was another thing about holding width and depth. What he was saying was sorry about kicking the ball, and you have to have two different game plans. Like you have to be preparing a summer game plan all the time. Like you're always preparing ultimately to put your best foot forward in from April on in the championship whenever that comes. And by the time you get out of Connacht or Ulster or Leinster or whatever it might be, when you're not playing in Croke Park, you need a different game plan ready to attack the quarterfinal, semi-final. And in our quarterfinal this year, for example, it may as well have been a winter's day. It absolutely lashed rain, and that led to its own difficulties for both sides. The amount of turnovers you've never seen in a game of football from both sides. So that led to its own difficulties in playing slick football, kicking the ball, and all that type of stuff. And so I think in Croke Park, ultimately, if you want to win the big one, I think you have to do everything Enda saying. You have to leave men up for numerous reasons, to give you outlets, to kick the ball and transition, to hurt teams on turnovers. That's all fine. But also to take 2 or 3 men out of their attack that they must pin back, probably with a +1 in front of them, which means as a defensive unit now, I'm only facing maybe maximum 10 forwards coming at me or 10 attacking players coming at me, which means if I've 10, 11, 12 players back there, I'm certainly have the upper hand, provided I can hold my discipline and don't give away cheap frees. You'd imagine, you should be coming out with a good bit of ball,
And like when you talk about that in teams keeping 3 up the field, I'll throw it at you first, Enda. All the talk about the rules being trialed in the sandbox games, if one of them is to keep 3 forwards each up the field and both teams would keep 3 up at one end of the pitch, how different is it actually going to be to how a lot of teams are playing right now anyway?
Well, we're discussing it there, Shane, in terms of Armagh are going against the norm here. Usually now teams will try and keep at least 2 up the pitch. Like if you want to win the big prize, I think you have to play that type of, I'm going to say, positive kind of football. If 2, imagine we're saying two up top is positive football now at this stage, but that's what it is. Like it is. But
so we change the game if teams have to keep 3 up at the top end of the pitch.
I think definitely it will. It's going to be hard managed. I think you need 2 referees if you're going down that route, to be honest with you. Like if you step over the line and all this type of jazz, that's going to be very, very hard to referee.
Do you know how you'd simplify it, Enda? You'd simplify it by saying 3 players have to wear an armband, go up to the top end of the pitch. You can't come out, let's say, the 45 your own half if you have that on. And if another player is going to be one of those 3 players, just swap over the armband. And I know it's not the most brilliant, but it is very cut and dry.
What happens if I whip the armband off so the ref doesn't see me and he's watching the other way, and I go somewhere, I'm just I think it's going to be impossible to ref at club level.
I'm the same. Look, I think the 2
refs. Where are you going to get 2 refs from?
Yeah. The 2-point arc, I think that's a good one with the 40 meter. I think that'll bring defenses out and create more space inside. I think that's a really good one. But I maybe if you said, 3 and 1/2 the pitch inside the 45, to me is too extreme. You might be able to manage that if you had one person on the kind of halfway line. I don't know, but definitely for me.
What about this though? Like Galway don't concede goals in general. You look back, they don't really concede that many goals, and they're playing 2 and 3 players up top.
Yeah,
maybe maybe it's down to levels of coaching, or maybe it's down to some players' IQ, or maybe it's down to, different things like that. Because, look at a team that's in the final, they don't really concede goals, yet they play positive enough football, but they're very, very well coached. That kind of way. Like I don't think there's that much wrong, to be honest, Shane. I don't think there's that much wrong. The only part that needs to go for me is when you're sitting in the stand, or even as a manager on the sideline, and I can turn around to my selectors and talk to them for 30 seconds in the middle of the game and know full well that nothing is going to happen out there. That needs to go. I think that's the problem for the crowd, because of our phones and instant access to internet and social media. Who's going to be watch this stuff when they can have something else going on online? So if we take that out of the game by introducing a shot clock or something, I'm not saying I don't have the answers, but I'm just saying that's the one thing that needs to go. Maybe get rid of the attacking mark or improve the attacking mark. And for me, I think we have a brilliant product, to be honest with you.
Oh, like when football is played well, it's unbelievable to watch. And actually, now that you mentioned Galway's defence, conceded 1 goal in 8 games, and the only team they conceded a goal to, Armagh, which is gas. But
and it was a kick-out error.
Yeah. Kieran McGeeney, actually, he was talking this week about, or he was being asked about the perception of him being a negative coach. The way some games they'll go long periods without scoring or whatever it might be. Where does it come from? And have you ever put out a team, Davy, where the idea is we want to be progressive, we want to be on the front foot, but for whatever reason you're looking at it and you're like, why are we so defensive? Or going forward, it's just not happening today?
Yeah, well, conditions can change just before the off. Stuff can get into players' heads. Lots of things can happen. You can set out a game plan, and it might never, you might go out and mightn't look like that at all. You hear most managers say, and Enda said it there, games take on a life of their own. Like, you only control so much. Obviously you have them prepared, you have them set up. Usually the kickouts is what you can absolutely control. Are we sitting off this? Okay, where are we going to? Are we going to the 45, 65? Are we getting in a certain shape? Are we leaving a particular player free? What are we doing? You can, are we going zonal, or what are we doing? You can fairly set up the kickouts. Outside of that, there's a bounce of a ball, a break of a ball. How much can you actually control as a coach on the sideline? So that's why I'm saying you can't hamstring players too much. You have to have them absolutely set up and absolutely prepared for every eventuality and go through what-if scenarios or whatever. But I think sometimes, and maybe that's your point on Armagh, in that maybe they have tried to cover absolutely everything, and has that not confused them, but has that addled the players a little bit at times. And I'd say Conor Gilligan looks to me to be a massive addition, I think, to this Armagh setup this year. Their attack play looks a bit slicker. It looks a bit more concise and a bit more, I'd say they understand it a bit more. And that was evident to me the last day, that when we played them, that they were very much in tune with it, So I would say...
But even, sorry, James, to cut across here, I'm a positive footballer. If Armagh, obviously, if they're not keeping like 2-3 people up top, transition is slower, you turn over the ball, and I know they're trying to break out fast, but if that kick pass isn't on, you're breaking down the blanket every time there. So they're not getting easy scores. So Galway get easier scores by leaving 2 or 3 up top. Even Shane was on about positive football. Positive football is whether or not you push up in the kick out here. If obviously looking from frees, maybe be more positive, score ratio, as we discussed before, goes up. So that's pretty much in a nutshell in terms of how we can play positive football in modern day football. Is that like nothing really like Armagh played the opposite of that. So they don't leave men up top. They drop off the kick out. So their score obviously is gonna be hard to come by, and the easier scores.
But and I think we positive football and all this is a little bit over talked. Like, we played Mayo in Connacht this year. We pressed every single kick out the first day. And we got huge joy out of that and just didn't convert. Okay. The second day we played Mayo in the All-Ireland series, we dropped off 70% of the kickouts, but we were told afterwards that we were positive the second day and we were negative the first day. Do you know what I mean? So you can't get overly bogged down in people's perceptions of what positive or negative football is. You're bang on. If you're pressing kickouts, you're being positive. Why? Because look at Liverpool, look at all these teams. They're pressing you high up the field. Where are they exposed? They can be exposed over the top. There's only space, lads. It's about exploiting space here. So you're positive if you press and if you leave men up. For me, and if you try to kick them, that's the only way, in my opinion, you can be positive football. But it's not all about that either. But that's just, that's just one way,
You spoke earlier this year, Davy, about I think you were going long on a lot of kickouts because you reckoned the highest percentage of scores came off a long ball, even though it was more dangerous, shall we say. If it was broke down, you didn't win the ball, you were more exposed, shall we say. Can you just walk me through that?
Yeah, well, obviously it's like when teams press up on you, like I said, if they put 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 into your half, clearly they can only have 5 or whatever the far side of the field, which means it's green grass. So if you can win a long ball and offload it to a runner or kick the ball up the field, well, you're in on goal, and there's black cards and there's pull downs, there's frees and there's goal chances and there's everything else that comes with that. So and if you're coached well and you're tactically set up, your weak side should be tucking across or whatever should be happening, that if you're kicking them, look at Kevin Walsh's teams. He's done it for 15 years as a coach. He kicks the ball out to 10 every single time. The weak side tucks across, they overload 10, they bomb in to try to win the breaks, and they go in first phase off that. And he's been brilliant at it with Cork, and he's done it with Galway, and he's done with loads of teams, Sligo. So it's very simple, it's very basic. Where against Cork generally where the ball's going to go, but it's a different thing trying to win it. And if you listen to Kevin Walsh, he doesn't mind that much if he loses that ball because he knows they're going to be set up and they're men in position and they're not exposed. That kind of way. Whereas if you look at us, look at Galway against Armagh up in Sligo, short kick out went wrong. Conor Gleeson felt that Turbot put in the net. Against us, the game was decided. A short kick out went to the D in a wet day. Conor Turbot got a hand to it, balls in the back of the net. So we're both of us better off just booming the ball out and getting our men in position. And if you win it, you're away on first phase, you goal chance. If you lose it, whereas sometimes with us all, maybe Michael, does ball retention come into it, and does there, we need the ball, we need possession, whereas are you better off at times being riskier and letting it out there, and at least worst day you're set up,
It's funny because there's an infatuation with a turnover from a kick out now. It's like, what are they doing going long every time? It is, boys. If it happens 2 or 3 times in a row, you have boys going absolutely like mad about it because it looks, look how naive they are. They're getting killed on the long ball. It's literally a hand touching a ball somewhere to the left, 5 yards to the left or 5 yards to the right. But it's mad sometimes that the narrative that comes out after.
And then, Michael, on the fourth one, then the keeper will try short and he'll be intercepted because he's rattled. Do you know that?
I can guarantee you on Sunday, lads, Galway will go long with their kickouts more so than Armagh. 100%. In terms of Gleeson, that's one of the main reasons why Gleeson's a goal. In terms of he's a booming kick out in fairness to him. And obviously, Galway's half forward line as well. 3 fucking midfielders there, so that'll definitely be a pro or a strength anyway for Galway come Sunday. In terms of, as you said, Davy, if you get that 60-meter transition out, first phase ball, it beats any blank defense. Like, it's hard to get back in that first phase ball. So it's that'll be interesting. I think you're right.
Will Galway go long when Armagh conceded? That's going to be very interesting for me. So the first kick out that Armagh conceded, I wonder will Galway go with it? And believe you me, Cian O'Neill will have a plan for that. He'll know what's coming, that Armagh will concede and they will go man to man and they will push up. So I'm very interested in looking early on to see with the first one that Armagh concede, do they go downtown? Well, and if that happens, what happens to Sean Fitzgerald and Jacqueline? And do they? Because I can't see Galway kicking the ball long and leaving 4 or 5 defenders up on their own. That kind of way up in their end of the field. So it's a very interesting tactical battle on that.
Well, I was going to ask you, Davy, if you want to go along on the kick out the whole time and they set off you, like what's your top prices and going long then? If you're, as you say, you're probably totally outnumbered on the high ball and maybe you're not playing the percentages anymore.
But you have time, Michael. Like you just whoever, get your 2, 3 and 4 and push them out. It's very risky now. It's very risky or whatever. Don't push them out. Push them to the halfback, push your 5, 6 and 7 out. Whatever you want to do. Like, obviously you have time to plan for this, and you certainly can't kick the ball out long, to a 3-man overlap or 3-man overload like against you. You certainly can't do that, and there's no way Galway will do that. So you absolutely have to match numbers and try overload somehow. So I think that's what they'll do. I think they'll push 5, 6, and 7 or whatever out to 11. Like Gleeson likes to go straight down the middle. He likes to go straight down the middle to 11 with Comer coming out with John Maher there with everybody else, Conroy there. So I'd imagine if you look at it that as well, you can really flood the break zone, which will be in and around the 6, 8, the middle. It's not you flood that, narrow your defense, and you're probably not that exposed for a turnover there, provided they don't break the ball forward and you're taking out the game. That kind of way.
Do you think Armagh will go? Will they, even from freeze, will they push Davy from the kick out?
Oh, they will. They will. Oh, geez, Armagh will. They will. And their press is very good because it's an honesty. Pressing is about an honesty.
Yeah.
It's about, that's what it's about. Like, it's not about coaching, really. It's about man-to-man is about what? Holding, fouling, and how much, where can you bring this to? Where can I take this to? Every keeper looks up, he sees a 50-50, any hand in, it's a turnover. They're not going to do that. So, and Armagh, as I said to you earlier, are extremely honest, extremely well drilled, and extremely passionate and mad for it. So they when they press man-to-man, it's unbelievably aggressive and it's unbelievably good, to be honest with you. So, and as I said, it went a long way in the quarterfinal to knocking us out. It went a long way to getting them the quarterfinal spot by Turbo pressing up that time against Gleeson. So the kick-out press does work. So there's not Armagh won't sit off here all day. Like, they will press this kick-out,
How aggressive, Davy, do they press? Would they go full on the full forward line there? Are they that aggressive?
No, it's man-to-man. What I've seen, yeah. But a proper man-to-man, you see, like a proper aggressive man-to-man, and then you cheat off the lines. Like, you cheat off the sidelines, obviously. You're not going to let them drag you out to the sideline or whatever that might be. So, but they'll push their half-back line forward. They push their half-back line forward to really block up that 8 and 9 channel for you to run into. But I just think they have a very, very strong aggressive press, and it's a real man-to-man press, because you probably know in the coaching club teams and coaching different teams, some forwards don't like pressing. Let's be honest about it. They don't want to do it in the corner.
They don't like working hard.
Yeah, there you go. So
we call them the luxury player, JB. They're the luxury players.
Sarah Farrell calls them the parlour players.
Yeah. In fairness to this Armagh team, lads, there's not one on it. There's not one fella you can target. If you come up against certain teams, right, he'll be looking to kick 3 or 4 from play. You can probably get a short one off against him, target him, whatever. There's not one man in that Armagh forward line you can target, lads, as regards a short kick out, quick kick out, because they're so on it and the communication is brilliant, and fair play to them.
And a quick one, just on Cian O'Neill. He's going for a fairly unique achievement on Sunday to try and be involved in 3 All-Ireland winning teams. He's obviously strength and conditioning coach with Tip in 10. He was coach with Kerry. I think they're one of their first ever outside coaches in 14. And I don't know, is it a coincidence that Galway have won 3 Connachts in a row since he came on board? He's been involved in All-Ireland finals in 09, 10, 11, 14, 15, 12, 22 and 24. Obviously, the barren years in the middle were when he was Kildare manager, but that's probably for another day.
Davy will bring him back. Davy will bring him back.
We keep going, I think.
Talk to me about Cian. And you obviously had him down in UL, as I did as a lecturer. He's a fair yoke, in fairness.
He is a fair yoke, lads. In terms of, look, that's a 15-year. He's probably in the management or coaching game now for 20 years, lads. Even if that tells you
Limerick,
story.
he was with Limerick, I think, 3 years before he got involved with
in fairness, the shelf life of coaches or managers, as Davey will probably allude to, it's tough going, lads. It is tough going. So it's, to have that span of career just shows his mentality. And his mentality, when he's out in the training pitch, shines through to the players, as in we're here now for an hour and a half. Let's really go at this. Let's work hard. What can you control? I know it's cliched. I know going down the same kind of nuggets here in terms of words here, but when you're out on the pitch for an hour and a half, you're on here, right? That's the only thing we can control here, and that's Cian's mentality. Brings a fresh, freshness, professionalism to the whole thing, and it's no surprise. Any setup he's gone into, just enthusiasm. He's kind of the American type personality. Very, very, very positive, very come here, fella, give us a hug and all this type of. But when he has to be cutthroat, or when he has to, be on a fella in terms of training. If you're fucking around training, he'll be on your back, and that's I think he strikes a good balance with that, So, it's not. I'm not surprised. I don't think you two guys are surprised. He's in another All-Ireland final with another team. It's just his mentality is this. There's levels to this, and he's at the top level.
One insight into him. Obviously, he's Kildare man, but from managing Roscommon against Galway, you know, the level of respect the Galway players have for him mid-game, they are constantly on the Keane mid-game, constantly over, seeking advice at any break, just looking over if, you know, if anything's going right against them, right for you, and it's not going well for them, they're looking for constant, you know, a little bit like Paul Kinnerk kind of thing, that he's constantly there, replanning, reconfiguring the setup if they're being exposed on A, B, C, or D. And that's a credit to him. Fair play to him. He's long time doing it, and he's a serious operator, in fairness.
Tell you a good one about Keane really quickly. We had him for a gymnastics practical. I studied PE teaching down in UL, and we were asking, someone was asking about a handstand, and we were in the gym. He was in full suit now. He just goes 2 seconds, flips into a handstand, starts walking around the hall. Like, it's absolute, and like jumps back into position then, and he's talking, not a bother, like it never happened at all. Like he's some man, in fairness to him, and he's had, as Enda says, he's some record wherever he goes. Like if he is able to get another All-Ireland with a third different county, again, 1 in hurling would be potentially 2 in football. It'd be some achievement. And
you were there in your spandex, you couldn't do it at all, Verney.
I can do a headstand, all right, no handstand.
But your hair was touching you.
Was he the first ever, I could be wrong here, was he the first ever non-Kerry football selector?
Yeah, fairly sure of that, fairly sure of that. And it was, it did draw a bit of controversy because he did things a bit differently, and I know Tomas would have said a few things maybe not that weren't complimentary about him, but questioning some of his methods. And I know Paul Galvin did as well in an Irish Times column as well, because Keane would do things differently, and it was very, very science-based, because, listen, everything he does is game-based. It's all, the pedagogy of teaching he used to always talk to us about, was all based on theory and practice.
Do you remember that thing about the occlusion goggles that Cian O'Neill was supposedly using, Davy? Have you ever done anything like that? So, like, for people who don't know, it sort of blocks out certain elements of your vision to improve other areas of it or whatever. Maybe you know more about it.
Just quickly, Davy, before you come in, it's gas you bring that up, Shane. I only saw this morning on Twitter some goalkeeper is using the occlusion goggles in training, and someone, I think it was really official, Kildare GA had that Keane was doing this 4 or 5 years ago. Like, it's mad, like, and he was absolutely panned for doing it as well. Absolutely destroyed for doing it, because God forbid he tries something different in the GA.
He was destroyed. That was a very big joke in Kildare at the time, the occlusion goggles that he was using in Hawkfield and whatever else. And like, who are any of us to tell Cian O'Neill how to coach a team? Like, at the end of the day, now I don't think they didn't survive too long, I don't think. But I know I'm yet to find my version of occlusion goggles just yet, Shane. I'll keep digging though. I'll have something for next year for you.
Okay, well, look, Dave, you've been brilliant with your time. Any final word on it? You're obviously going for Galway to win this game, but yeah, any final thoughts?
I just think I think it's going to be a cracker. I think it's going to be an absolute cracker. I think it's going to be cagey. Both teams are going to set up. I can't see, unless there's goals, and Galway don't really concede goals, and neither do Armagh, in fairness to them. So the magic 20 points, I think is going to be hard hit. I don't see Galway conceding 20 points, but I think Armagh are right in the game. So, you know, I can see this being 17, 16, 16, 15 kind of thing. I just can't see the likes of 20 points being hit here, unless, you know, keeper or there's rain or there's turnovers. But I just don't see that. So I can see Galway winning the game. I just think they can give it to you anyway. They can match you physically. You know, they can match your conditioning. They can transition the ball with serious players. Their defending is the best in Ireland. They have the best defence in Ireland. Like, you know, they go after team defence. So they'll man mark them 3 boys, I think, Grugan, O'Neill and Turbot, and they let the rest of them at it. I don't think they'll pick up Connaughty. I don't think they'll pick up Merlin is in outside of Sean Fitzgerald, marking him when he's there. I think they'll let them at it, and you know, and I think they'll back their team defence, which they will back their team because they always do, and they can match it that way. And like, we still went through a whole podcast here and talked about Shane Walsh for a minute, talked about David Coleman for a minute, talked about Rob Finnerty for a minute. Like it's amazing the depth, the quality that's in that squad. And I don't know how Johnny Heaney's been kept out of it. Personally, I don't know how. And obviously, whatever's happening, it just shows the strength of it. And Armagh will come. The one thing with Armagh is they don't go away. They're unbelievably resilient. And fair play to them. As I said, they're an unbelievably united group. And how, in fairness to McGeaney, how he's keeping Soupy Campbell, Duffy, Nugent happy. I don't know. I don't know how. It's brilliant, in fairness, what they're doing, the Armagh management are doing to keep them boys. Because what I would probably do in a scenario like that with Campbell, I would feel nearly, right, I need to reward this fella. I give him a start next week. That's nearly what I would feel to generate competition so that, right, Campbell's in now, lads, who's putting their hand up next kind of thing. And that's what, whereas in Armagh, they don't seem to go down that road. It's just, you're the finishers, you're the starters, and away you go. And one player that goes under the radar for Armagh is Joe McElroy. He's done a man-marking job the last number of weeks around the middle eight. I think he's going to pick up Dylan McHugh, because McHugh it could be the win and losing this game. He's an absolutely amazing talent. So I could see Joe McElroy starting on to tag McHugh early doors before they introduce the likes of Campbell onto him or the likes of Nugent onto him. So he kind of goes under the radar because it's probably his first year breaking onto the team or whatever. So long story short, I just see Galway having enough by probably 2 points, to be honest with you.
Just last one, Davy. You mentioned earlier about why it should finish on the day. Is that from a manager's point of view, or like it's in vogue with the hurling finishing on the day last week? A lot of people calling for a replay. I'd say it's probably 50-50. Like, why are you adamant that it should finish on the day?
No, I think that was that on another point. But go back to the hurling. I was there last week, and geez, I was supporting Clare. My father's Clare man. It's hard going. Like, Clare came out in the second half or the first half of injury time without Mark Rogers. I think Shane O'Donnell wasn't much longer out there. Kelly looked like he needed to go, and everyone was thinking the same thing. Geez, Cork will win from here. So, and then obviously with Johnny Murphy, he tired clearly as well. He went from being very close to the action, probably to being 10 yards away from the action. And you're looking at all this, and is that a way to finish a game? It's probably not, but the 3 weeks break, lads, is worse nearly than losing in a mad way, because you've prepped everything for this. Your whole life is on hold, obviously, for this. And the 3 weeks gap for players, management, backroom, county boards, I think is a nightmare. So there's no ideal scenario to it, to be honest with you. I do think maybe a period of extra time, but after that, I'm not sure. And the refereeing one probably needs to be looking at. Could we have it sorted that the chief linesman comes in and takes extra time? Is that a possibility? I don't know. But in football particularly, I don't know. Hurston's in the middle. I don't know who the linos are the weekend. But if it's Goff or McQuillan, sure, Jesus, what's the harm in sending one of them boys in? That kind of way. So, yeah. So I just think we could definitely get a bit smarter with how we're doing things. But certainly 2 or 3 weeks of a gap after an All-Ireland final is not the answer. I remember sitting there last week in Kazakhstan. First of all, I didn't know whether it was extra time. Nobody knew. That was the first thing. And the second thing was, it was kind of is that it? So it was kind of two conflicting kind of feelings you had,
Davy, brilliant to have you on the show. Thank you very much for coming on. That was enthusiasm, depth, insight. We loved it. And
no worries,
right. Cheers, Davy. It's funny, because if we had extra time years ago, like, we wouldn't have had the Shane O'Donnell final. We wouldn't have had the Walter Walsh final. We wouldn't have had the Kieran, all the lads that made the impact in the replay.
Well, I didn't really enjoy the replay in 2014. So that
was the Kieran Joyce final. That was 3 years in a row. Remember, lads that hadn't started the drawing game. Like, it's amazing. It's a crazy one, really. And you're just wondering, even if it had been a replay, would there have been someone from left field? Well, we saw nearly everyone Clare had to offer. Would there have been someone from left field? Would Conor Lahan have started? Or you just don't know. But it definitely seems to be dividing opinion. It definitely seems to be dividing opinion whether it should be a replay or not.
Yeah, a lot of positive comments for Davy there. And Enda as well. Enda's connection kind of went a little bit arseways on him towards the end, so he dropped off. But,
good man to throw an F-bomb during the day. I don't think he realises it's not gone past the 7:30, 8 o'clock kind of deadline.
But it adds to the whole roller coaster sort of vibe their podcast was throughout 2022, and it was so good to have them on again. Everyone seemed to really enjoy it. Who do you think is going to win on Sunday?
Yeah, as Davey said there, I don't think it'll get to the 20-point mark. I think it'll be something like 115-16 for Galway. I do think the benches are. I do think Armagh have a fair hop off the bench. I would expect Galway to have a slight buffer for most of the game. And a buffer in football is 2 or 3 points. And I would just expect them to see it out down the stretch. Something like 115-16. And I would be expecting Walsh and Comer to have big games after quiet semi-finals. Like, nothing to the level of Walsh's final maybe 2 years ago, but definitely to potentially kick 2 or 3 from play. Same with Comer.
Yeah, Kieran McKeever, who's part of the backroom team with Armagh, was saying this week, if I'm putting my hand on my heart, Galway probably are the best team we've played over the last 4 years, and how they're structurally set up. They're set up like an Ulster team, which I found that quite an interesting point. And it's something that Davy's talked about a lot there, and Enda, and then of course the depth of the panel that Galway also have. And yes, if Stephen Campbell wasn't on the bench, which he is on the Armagh side, would the conversation around the Armagh bench be quite as prominent?
Maybe. He has always, not always maybe, but he has been prolific coming in and less prolific starting. And I don't know, Geezer has got a few lads to buy into this idea of you're going to win us the game, you're going to tip us over the line. Very, very difficult kind of balancing that, because you're trying to keep starting 15 and you're trying to keep another 6, 7, 8 guys happy that they're in that finishing role. And listen, everybody wants to walk behind the band. There's no point in saying any different. I was looking at the subs the last day while the team is going around and the camera kind of panned to them. You want to be part of it, and it takes a very strong character to be able to sit there, not have that bit of pain, and be able to make sure that you make a big impact when you come on. But I just it's funny with Campbell, and I've seen it so many times down through the years. A guy plays really well off the bench, you start him the next day, he's pulled after 45, 50 minutes, then you don't have to kick off the bench. So it really is a bit of a balancing act, and I said it's a balancing act to get lads to buy into that as well.
Yeah, between the two of these teams, they've played 8 and 9. They've played 17 games and lost 1 game between them. That was Armagh losing once. So really, really difficult to call. I just about go with Galway. That that ability to score up top, or the potential. Never mind the ability, but Shane Walsh and Damien Comer, like you said, didn't exactly shoot the lights out in the semi-final. Surely one of them's going to have a day. And we all remember Walsh a couple of years ago, completely inspired in that All-Ireland final. And I don't know. I mean, a week after seeing Patrick Horgan not get his All-Ireland, would Shane Walsh retire without an All-Ireland? This could be his best chance. And same with Comer.
It's a great chance, realistically. Very, very similar. It's very serious parallels with the hurling, realistically. You don't know whether this sort of chance is going to open up again. Who'd have said that Clare could win All-Ireland without beating Limerick and losing to them twice? That mightn't happen for the next 4 years.
Armagh getting to this group of Armagh players getting to an All-Ireland again?
It's a distinct possibility, I would say, just because I do think the Dubs are on the way and Kerry are no great shakes. It's kind of wide open for someone in the next couple of years. But listen, they mightn't be there if they hadn't got that goal against Galway and come back, because it would have been a much more difficult kind of road. And fair play to Galway. But the thing I'd say about Galway as well is, and I've brought it up as regards Cork went into the hurling final, the record of a team that's taken down the kingpin before the final stage, the record of them actually going on and finishing the job is pretty poor. Look at Kilkenny in 19, look at Cork in 24, look at Mayo in 21, look at Donegal in 14, look at Mayo in 12, look at, as I said the other day, look at Wayne Mardle beating Phil Taylor in, was it the 08 World Darts Championship, and then been beaten by who in the semi-final, Shane? Kirk Shepherd, the unheralded Kirk Shepherd. You take down the big fish and then you can't go and finish the job. Robin Soderling beating Nadal in the French Open and then getting pasted by Federer in the final. It's a difficult one, but Galway look pretty well placed to do it now. I think they'll win marginally, but I expect them to win. Yeah,
look, we're a few days on from the All-Ireland hurling final, and I'm sure we've both chatted with loads of people from that are interested in their hurling from the backgrounds of both counties. And one of our regular viewers there, Adrian McGrath, was on about privately to me about some of the young players that Clare have, and he's like, I must pick a young team that Clare have under the age of 25. So we got chatting about it a bit, and we were like, well, let's try and pick a team from across the country, just sort of peeking through a window into the future to see who's actually got some brilliant players coming. So we'll pick a 15 based on some of the best that are age 25 and under across the country. We'll do it up here on a little chart and keep track of it. Get your comments in. Who are the best players under the ages of, or age 25 and under in the country right now? Is there anyone, and we don't have to start with goalkeeper, but is there anyone that kind of jumps straight off the page as far as you're concerned?
Yeah, Cottle O'Neill would definitely be one of the main ones. Stands out.
Where will we throw him in? We'll throw him in midfield just for now. We'll move him if we need to.
I'd say he stands out above most, to be honest with you. From a from a Cork point of view, like sure, like Owen Downey would definitely stand out as well at probably number 3, and there's probably maybe other options there for number 3 as well. But he's not going to be far off an all-star in what was his second year at senior inter-county level. I think we're fairly spoiled for options, even from a Cork point of view. Like we didn't see Micheál Mullins this year, or we didn't see Ben Cunningham this year, but they'll be very, very close to being on this team as well, realistically, won't they?
Yeah, not too far away at all. In your own county, like, is Adam Screeney going to be in this list as far as you're concerned?
I'd have to see what he's going up against, but he's definitely one of the most exciting players in the country.
Look, I think he's going to. It's going to be difficult to think of too many young forwards who are as hotly tipped to go on and have good senior careers. But as things stand, he'd be up there, I would have thought.
No, he would, of course, yeah. And he's obviously already involved in the senior squad and was part of a McDonagh winning team as well. So he definitely would be up there. But there'll be a few other Offaly guys in the conversation as well. Liam Hoare would definitely be in the conversation for goalkeeper. Brecon Kavanagh would be in the conversation for the backs. Donald Shirley, who was wing back on the 20s and the seniors, would definitely be in the conversation. And Dan Burke would definitely be in the conversation too, obviously.
Oh, Dan Burke walks into this.
Yeah, I'd probably have him you'd have him at 11. He could move to 10 or 12 depending on who else we come up with here. But yeah, like he was brilliant with the 20s, obviously, but he showed he's well up to senior level already too.
Yeah, I made an executive decision there and threw him in at number 13. We've kind of seen him roam. He could be anywhere out there. Yeah, so I'm trying to think then.
Adam Hogan, number 2.
Yeah.
Conor Lean, number 4.
Yeah, Adam Hogan.
Like that's a fair full back line. All of them are 21 or younger, I think, or 22 or younger. 22 or younger, I think.
Right, okay, let's go through some of the counties across the board here. David Williams, Westmeath might be in the conversation. Yeah, had him with the UCD freshers last year. He's got serious hands on him, and yeah, he's got it all really. Adam Hogan, Conor Lean, either side of Downey, yeah. Ben Cunningham, Barrett and Connolly. Dan Burke has to be in this team. What do you think?
Well, Shane Barrett is under 25, yeah?
Well, I'll just go and look that up.
And Connolly, they should be 23, 24, I would imagine. You might have the old pen picks. I don't know if the pen picks are as good as they were age-wise, but he'd definitely be there. Like you're talking about, just thinking of other counties, Pádraig Fitzgerald, Patrick Fitzgerald, Mark Fitzgerald. Mark Fitzgerald would definitely be in there. Shane O'Brien from Limerick would definitely be in there. Adam English. Yeah. Shane, it's a fair team. I tell you something, it's going to be a fair team because you have some lads that are already seriously established. Fergal O'Connor definitely be an option for the back line. Andrew asked there, Sully 180 is Rob Downey 25 or younger. I saw him playing Fitzgibbon about 2 years ago, and I'd say he's 25 or younger, to be honest with you. I'd say there's no more than 3 years of a gap between him and Owen, I'd imagine. So he would definitely be, he's not in the conversation. If he's under 25, he's centre back realistically. What age is Kieran Joyce? Do you know what I mean? Like,
he's probably about 22.
But there are guys that we have in there that, like, with due respect to Adam Screeney, he's 19. Like, would you have Adam Screeney in ahead of Owen Cody, Shane O'Brien?
Adrian Mullen is probably still underage for this.
Yeah, I think maybe we should have gone 22 or younger, because I think there will be some good jokes. There'll be some good jokes that'll lose out. Like I think Brecon Kavanagh is deadly, but like, who are you picking at 6? Rob Downey or Brecon Kavanagh? You're picking Rob Downey. You know what I mean?
I'm happy to change this mid-flow and say, right, we're going to go again and we're going to pick it from age 22 and under.
Yeah, Mikey Butler is 24 according to Transpeter.
Rob Downey, 25 or younger. Conor Heaney says he's 24. Instead of the old Railway Cup, do an under 25 and the over 30s play.
Yeah, basically an under 25 team against an over 30s team. Be some crack. I tell you, it'd be fair all game now.
Do you know what? Let's just stick with the under 25. And if they have to be the best player in the country and we end up with none of the really, really young lads, then so be it. Who's the number one keeper in the country at the moment, do you think? Well, it's up between okay, well, if it's between the traditional ones, which is Quaid and
Quaid and Murphy are all over. Quilligan's over. Collins is over. Sean Brennan is over. Who else? Waterford keeper
Sean O'Brien.
I'd say he's over 25. I really like.
He is.
I'm a big fan of Saunderson from Cork, and he's obviously only 21. He'd definitely be high up in the conversation. It's just that we haven't probably seen him at senior level because this was his first year senior. He'd definitely be high up in the conversation. I genuinely think once Liam Moore goes in on the Offaly senior panel, which could be next year, that he will be the Offaly goalkeeper till he doesn't want to be anymore, basically.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's not that many very, very young goalkeepers. Let's see, Waterford, no. Westmead, I don't think so. Connaughty, no, he's not that young.
Travis Miller saying Reece Shelley is 24.
Okay, well, if that's the case, I think we have our winner, don't we? He didn't start this past year.
Yeah, there could be someone else. Jason Glan was mentioned there. Didn't start for Limerick, obviously, but he was listed as their second keeper, and he was brilliant in the Fitzgibbon for Mary I. Like Brian Hayes is under 25 as well, Shano. When you think about it, like are three of the Cork forwards under 25? Three of the Cork forwards that started in the All-Ireland final. Mark Rogers.
I wouldn't be shocked if Declan Dalton is underage as well.
Ooh.
He's 26. He's 26.
Mark Rogers. Put Mark Rogers in at 11.
Okay, happy to do so. So Adrian Mullen will have to go in here as well. He's 25.
Okay, Jesus Christ. Some team.
We're just going to unfortunately have to drop a load of lads out of this team that we initially started with.
Have we ascertained Rob Downey's age?
Okay, let me just check.
Keane Byrne from Wexford would come into the conversation as well. Very, very good player.
I typed in Rob Downey and it came in up as Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, do you know what? I
59 in case you're wondering.
I never made that kind of comparison. I always referred to him as Rob Downey, so I never thought of Robert Downey Jr. ever really, to be honest with you.
He's 24.
Yeah, put him in centre back then as well, and just fly through the Cork team really quickly. Collins overage, O'Leary's overage, Owen Downey is in number 4. Sean O'Donoghue's overage. 5, like Kieran Joyce is underage, surely, isn't he? Yeah, put him in at 5 for the minute anyway. Rob Downey's underage. Who's 7? Mark Coleman is overage. Darragh Fitz is overage.
Tim O'Mahony's overage.
Tim O'Mahony, Declan Dalton, Harnedy, Horgan. Brian Hayes, Connolly, and Barrett could potentially all be under 25 in their forward line as well.
How old is Diarmuid Ryan in Clare?
Yeah, I'd say he probably fits in because he's
25.
He was in Mary I. This year. Put him in at 7 there.
Okay, right. This team is filling up very quickly with I don't know, I still think it's interesting to see who's got like young players on the really established teams at the moment. So you feel like they're not going anywhere.
Just fly through the Clare team real quickly. You have Quilligan, Hogan, we have in there. Fullback Conor Cleary is overage. Lean is underage. Diarmuid Ryan is underage. Conlon's overage. McInerney's overage. Kelly's overage.
Fitzgerald,
Malone, both overage.
Rogers
Rogers underage. Duggan's overage. Aidan McCarthy, I'd say, is only 24.
He is, yeah. He is 24.
Yeah, throw him in at 12 there for a minute.
Huh?
Throw him in at 12 for a minute.
Okay.
I'm a big Mark Fitzgerald fan.
I think he has to go in, doesn't he? Does he go in ahead of any of the 3 of those?
If I'm being honest, I'd have him in at 4 ahead of Conor Lean.
I think so too.
Because I think he's done more in the last couple of years. And don't get me wrong, Lean was unbelievable this year.
Yeah, Lean may get an All-Star at the same time. But I would agree, like, I'm a big Mark Fitzgerald fan.
Yeah, I've no issue putting him in. And you're talking about a body of work. Again, the body with Lean, nobody really knows his body of work in the last couple of years because he was a sub for the Clare under-20s 2 years ago. Mad to say that he's probably going to be an All-Star cornerback now. And I love the fact that he said that he did pull Robbie O'Flynn and that he'd do it again.
And does Mikey Butler get in here? I'm going to go through the Kilkenny team, but would he get in?
Actually, he's a two-time All-Star.
Yeah, but Lean might end up being an All-Star by the end of the year, and that cuts no mustard with you.
Hogan is going to be an all-star as well. Could probably young hurler of the year. He'd be very harshly done by not getting in.
Yeah, but who are you giving the win
Who are
to?
you putting in instead of? But a match for sure could end up losing out again. The only thing is, like, depends if we're picking a balance of a team as well.
Well,
Mark,
I think we could justify Mark Fitzgerald at full back because of the size of him.
You could justify him at wing back. You could justify him at centre back as well. To be honest with you,
Well,
they put him in full back ahead of Owen Downey.
Are we going to justify him at all? He might have to lose out over Mikey Butler. Oh, look, Mikey Butler was how good was he this year? I'm sure he was injured for long spells. No, I mean,
he wasn't
has
bad.
done it in big games, like.
Yeah, he stopped the man of the match in the All-Ireland final this year. The 2 times he's marked him. You know.
Right. So Mikey Butler at Kilkenny.
Maybe we shouldn't have put it on these lads because a few more boys going to have to come out, I'd say.
Connor Boyd from Antrim deserves a mention, says David Hogan. I'll just quickly run through the Kilkenny team because I have their match programme from the semi-final. So Lawler's overage, Tommy Walsh surely overage. David Blanchfield, I wonder what age he is.
He's in around the border, I'd say.
I'll look it up. Now
he might be 26. Why age is Keane Kenny?
He's 24 according to Wikipedia, David Blanchfield. Keane Kenny, let's see. He is 23.
Throw him in midfield there for the minute anyway.
Okay. Hey, Gerard O'Connor definitely in ahead of Screeney.
Yeah, like, to be honest with you, with due respect, the lads that have a lot of inter-county experience under their belt. For picking an under-22 team, Screeney's in every day of the week. Under-25 just has it open to lads that are like seasoned inter-county players. And Jake Morris has been mentioned a couple of times as well. He's 25. Right,
he has to go in. Surely, come on. This is probably the only sniff I'm going to get at it here. So
no, I've no issue with that, and I would probably have Jake. Well, would you have Jake Morris in over Gerard O'Connor? You would.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to throw him in there corner forwards and boot out an Offaly man, which cuts me up.
Like, not been smart. As good as Dan Burke is, he's going to be under pressure to make this team.
Okay, I'll go through the rest of the Kilkenny team. So Paddy Deegan's definitely overage. So is Richie Reid. Is Mikey Carey underage?
Oh, borderline, I'd say.
It doesn't feel like that long ago that himself and his brother Sean were playing against each other in the Fitzgibbon.
It's hard to see as well. Not sure he makes this team though.
Yeah, okay. Brian O'Mara Tip is of age. Okay, I'm getting a bit more to work with here.
You're gonna get to wangle a few in.
Yeah, it doesn't have his age anywhere, but we all know that he just
Fitzgibbon 2023, Shane. Like he won a Fitzgibbon in 2023. He's under 20. He's under 25.
Okay, so just bringing back up the team again there. Does anybody drop out?
Just 1 second now. As P-Well here says, nobody from Galway even mentioned yet. That's okay. We're getting around to all these different counties, in different times and ways. Who are we looking at? In Galway?
By the way, I have to get Adam English in here.
Okay, put him in there for the minute.
Yeah. I'm getting to boot out all the Offaly lads, which is
Evan Nyland. What age is Evan Nyland?
Oh no, he's over 25 at this stage.
Made his debut in 2020 in the All-Ireland semi-final.
I'm nearly sure I looked up. He's 26.
Okay.
Gavin Lee, good point here from Conor Heaney. And Declan McLaughlin is mentioned by 2 people here.
I know lads, but look at what they're coming up against. Adrian Mullen, Mark Rogers, Aidan McCarthy, Adam English, Owen Cody, Jake Morris.
The Bull O'Brien, Shane O'Brien from Limerick.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I mentioned them earlier. Like
ahead of English, Adam English.
Probably he started a Munster final and caused
the All-Star
cornerback a hell of a lot of trouble.
Okay, right. This is a dramatic change here.
Who's the keeper?
But see, that's a very interesting one. Like, are we nearly going to have to go to the under-20 championship and say, well, Liam Hoare, because pretty much everyone else who's underage.
Aidan Tallis played a couple of championship games this year. Obviously won All-Ireland under-20 2 years ago. Interesting, I don't think to be anyone from that Kilkenny under-20 All-Ireland winning team 2 years ago on this team. which is not a good sign from a Kilkenny point of view.
Come here, Brian Hayes.
Very good question here from Traumspieler. Who's the young manager to manage this bunch of young bucks? Good question. We'll get to it. Like Shane, like Brian Hayes, Shane Barrett, and Alan Conley. Brian Hayes definitely under 25. Barrett must be under 25 as well.
Okay, so who are we dropping here? We'll start off with any of the three boys. Like, is Adrian Mullen being dropped for any of them? I wouldn't say so.
I'd probably have Shane Barrett in for Aidan McCarthy.
Yeah.
Shane Barrett could be nominated for Hurler of the Year this year.
Well,
he's definitely going to get an All-Star.
He's been absolutely brilliant, and I agree he'd go in ahead of McCarthy here. I'm just wondering, do Brian Hayes and Alan Connolly, like, are they going to nudge somebody out here? Because there's probably somebody else is going to have to lose. I would imagine that Shane O'Brien will lose.
Shane is in and Shane is out. It's mad. There's some talent here. Holy Moses.
I'm saying Brian Hayes.
Yeah, no, I've no issue there. You'd also be saying Alan Connolly. Would you be saying Alan Connolly ahead of Jake Morris?
I think just possibly, but probably needs a little bit more consistency, and part of that's to do with the amount of injuries he's had over the years, and he can't do anything about that.
He's probably not going to get an All-Star this year, is he? Probably not. Probably not.
Probably not, because there was a couple of games where he was a little bit quieter, including the final. But like in terms of talent, excellent. Anyone else in that Kilkenny team? Adrian Mullen, TJ Reid, John Donnelly. He's surely over 25.
He must be. He was on the Kilkenny team that were beaten by Limerick in 2018, so he has to be.
Okay, Mossy Keown, he's overage. Billy Ryan is probably just overage.
He must be. Yeah, he's been around a good while.
Yeah, Owen Cody. Then we have him in the team already. I'm trying to think of any other match program here that
will you fly down to the Galway team that were beaten by Dublin this year? And Conor Heaney mentioned Fergal O'Connor. I mentioned him earlier, but with due respect, you're trying to break into a full backline that is Adam Hogan, Owen Downey, and Mikey Butler. Realistically, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, just give me a second here and I'll find that team.
Keepers, you're looking at Talis, Saunderson, Liam Hoare.
Actually, it's Derek Fahey. How old is he? The Galway goalie.
Younger brother
24.
Of Keenan.
24.
Is he the number one goalie in Galway?
Well, he's certainly the starting goalkeeper this year.
Yeah. Is Rhys Shelley 24? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of him now, I have to say. But he wasn't starting goalkeeper for a bad Tipperary team this year.
Oh, Jesus, that's what to say that, didn't it? I think it has to be Derek Fahey. Not for you. Actually, how old is Barry Hogan?
Barry Hogan was on Liam Cattle's under 20 team, I think. Was he?
I think he's underage, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. There's our number one. So.
Okay, right. Tip her back. Is that what you're telling me? I'll read out that team in 1 second here, the Galway team. Okay, I have it. So, Derek Fahey, Jack Grealish, geez, he must be just around the line, is he, in terms of age?
He will be, but he's not going to break into this team realistically.
Okay. Davy Burke overage, Fintan Burke must be overage. Adrian Toohey definitely is. So is Park Mannion. Keenan Fahey, would he be around that?
No, he's a little bit older. He's a bit older than I thought. He's 26, I think. I think so.
Let me look it up. Hopefully it'll come up on... Yeah, 26 according to Wikipedia. Sure, we'll go with it. Gavin Lee definitely is underage. Jason Flynn isn't. Neither is Joseph Cooney. Connor Whelan. Connor Whelan might somehow still only be 25.
No, debuted in...
Oh, he's 27.
Debuted in 15, didn't he?
He did. Let's see. Yeah, after that, Sean Lennon, he'd be overage, surely. Gavin Lee is underage. Joseph Cooney, Evan Niall and Connor. Yeah.
Fly through the Dublin team while you're at it, because there'll definitely be a few candidates.
I will. Just first off, for you, does Gavin Lee, does he get a sniff here?
No, not like, look at what he's coming up against. Adrian Mullen, Owen Cody, like seasoned senior county players, and guaranteed starters.
I'll read the Dublin team that played against Galway the same day, as soon as I have it up here. Sean Brennan, John Bellew, Owen O'Donnell, Paddy Smith, they're all overage as far as I know. Paddy Smith's been playing back since about 2018, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Chris Crummey's definitely overage. Conor Donoghue might be underage. I don't quite think he'll sneak in here, but he possibly is underage. Let's just check the official Dublin website. 26. Okay, so he's overage. Paddy Doyle is underage. Very good player.
Good player. Again, stacked half back line though.
Yeah, okay. Brian Hayes. Now we're sucking diesel, Brian Hayes.
Bring up our midfield. Just bring up our midfield there.
So you're currently looking at Cian Kenny.
Kenny,
Colin O'Neill. I would put Brian Hayes in there.
Wow.
I'd put him in there.
You're putting him in. Cian Kenny is a front runner for an All-Star this year.
Yeah.
I think, anyway. And you're putting Brian Hayes in ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean, some of the things he's done this year, I think, have been sensational.
Cian Kenny hit about 16 or 17 points from play this year.
Yeah.
What
do you think Brian Hayes this season?
Who is better in the Leinster final?
I look, sure, Dublin just totally, you know.
I
What do you want me to say about the performance?
I wouldn't be taking out Cian Kenny.
Yeah. By the way, someone's saying Donald Burke there. Just check the Dublin website and it said 26. So I'm happy.
Yes, Conor Healy also says, and he's right, Kyle Hayes is barely overage for this team. Like, barely.
That is ridiculous, actually. And so is Rory O'Connor. He's only 26.
Rory O'Connor. Anyone else from an extra point of view?
Keane Byrne?
Keane Byrne, definitely worth to mention. Conor Foley, definitely worth to mention. Conor Hearn would still be under 25, to the best of my knowledge as well. Worth to mention too. Yeah, see, the thing is, like, even someone who's a prodigy in a county but mightn't have made a big mark at senior inter county level, but said like to Screeney, you're just going to be shoved out by guys that are, you know, like serious, like seasoned inter-county players. We'll do an under 21 or under 22 one in another week, and we'll see how different it will be. Maybe it'll be a chance for the Owen Gunnings, the Adam Screeneys, the Dan Burks, you know.
Oh, there's no end of surnames that we won't pluralize. Or Michael Verney to change them. Yeah, we'll definitely do it again. So Dara Power actually Dublin 22 apparently. The age limit is too high. Most county players in their prime at 24 now. Do you know what? Did we think this through, Michael? As ever? Nah. But look, we are who we are now, so we're going to have to finish it out. Let us know. Have we left anyone out here that we shouldn't allow, that we should have in? I think Brian Hayes has been very harshly done by here.
Is Evan Nyland definitely not 25 or younger?
It says on Wikipedia, which of course is never wrong, that he's 26.
Okay. Never wrong. No, never bet.
No.
Just let me say, Barry Hogan, Adam Hogan, Owen Downey, Mikey Butler, Kieran Joyce, Rob Downey, Dermot Ryan. Hold on a second. Is Big Dave Blanche under 25?
Yeah.
Oh, I tell you something. Do well leave him out of his team.
But who are you dropping?
I'd probably drop Dermot Ryan.
You're looking to shoehorn in a Kilkenny man. You're a disgrace.
He's a brilliant player.
No, he's excellent. He's excellent. And I love his fake shot, which always allows him to step.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of the balance of the team here as well. Just bring it back up again there, Shannon. Now you have to think of the balance of the team, right? So you've Adam Hogan. I think you do. This is why Mark Fitzgerald is hard done by. So your cornerbacks are both very diminutive. If you were in an ideal, now seriously now, in an ideal world, wouldn't you love to have Mark Fitzgerald in there? So you have the big brawn but athletic cornerback, if you get me. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
so
yeah.
A smaller 5'8", 5'9" Tiger, and you have the big 6'3", 14-stone cornerback who's able to take the big lad that comes in as well, and you have Owen Downey. Same with Kieran Joyce.
Stoppers, Verney?
No, Mark Fitzgerald's not a stopper.
That's what I'm saying. Have we already got too many stoppers? He's a hurler. And he's a big ignorant joke in a good way.
He's a stopper as well. I'd be looking at the balance. That's why I'd probably have Big Dave Blanche in ahead of Dermot Ryan, because I probably think he's a better defender. And I think he's very good going forward as well. Kieran Joyce is, to me, an out-and-out defender. He's a defender's defender.
Yeah, I'm not willing to drop Dermot Ryan here, I'll be honest with you. But okay. I'm willing to look at Mark Fitzgerald at full-back.
Wow.
Look.
Shock as Singh turns back on Downey brothers.
I think they're both excellent. Come on, I've been raving about them all year, but I'm willing to go there.
Martek Fitzgerald.
He's his Polish cousin.
I think Mark Fitzgerald is class. I have to say, I think he's deadly. So I'm happy. I'm happy enough with that. He actually he's probably played more senior inter-county championship games as well and league games than Owen Downey, I would say too.
What about Patrick Fitzgerald or Patrick Fitzgerald at Waterford?
Both very, very good players, but look at what they're trying to out. They're not starters on their county team either. Whereas if you look through the forward line that we have there, Mullen, Cody, Brian Hayes, etc. Alan Connolly and Shane Barrett. Did I just see the forward line again? Are they both in?
Barrett is. Connolly isn't. Brian Hayes is in.
Shane, sorry now. Alan Connolly has to play. And he has to play at 15 or 14, and Owen Cody goes to 15.
What are you trying to say here? Who are you trying to oust?
A big fan of Jake Morris, and he's a goal machine. But who's a bigger goal machine? Alan Connolly.
Is he? How many championship goals does he have?
He hasn't played as many championship games as Morris now, remember.
But sure, then it's not proven.
Yeah, I'd be straight with you, and I am a big fan of Jake Morris. I think Connolly's more reliable.
Okay, but what about when Morris moved out to centre forward in the final game for Tip this year against Clare and was excellent out there?
Good player, yeah, good player out centre forward. It's lucky we have Mark Rogers to play that role already.
Yeah, we can. But, I mean, think of the versatility. If we can swap Morris and Rogers all day. Okay, so you're booting out Jake Morris, right? Under protest, not dirty protest, but protest. I'll go with you. All right, is it too traditional 3 dominant? Okay, Kenny Cork. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and only 1 tip, 9. So 9 out of the 15 players, 2/3 are from the big 3, if you will. I know you like to call them that.
It's big 4 now, definitely. Anyway, or we can boot someone out with a big 3, I'd say.
8 out of 15 are from either Cork or Kilkenny. Is that right?
Yeah, no,
right.
Well, like look at Cork's underage success over the last 5 or 6 years, and I don't think we've been done by recency bias either too much here. Like we maybe from a Cork point of view, but Alan Connolly's been, if injury free, would be in this team every day of the week. Shane Barrett was unbelievable this year. Rob Downey's been playing for. Rob Downey's been playing for Cork since 2019. Now that I think of it, he must be right.
Can we justify having one Limerick player only in here?
Well, who are the other ones? Shane O'Brien, Adam English, Colin Coughlin, Donnacha O'Donnell, Fergal O'Connor. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Listen, there's a lot of it come down to who's starting really, who you've seen more of.
Yeah, look, I think we're kind of caught here. Yeah, is there any way we can squeeze an old Tip lad in there at all?
Brian O'Mara's hard done by to some extent, but the only thing I'd say to you, Brian O'Mara has a hell of a lot of potential, but has he really done it at championship level for Tipperary consistently? That's probably a bit of a question. He will, I've no doubt he will, but to this point, I don't think he has the consistency of the lads we have in there.
How do you feel about Mossy Keys? I think he's underage for this.
Oh, very good player, yeah. Messy Keys, yeah. Very, very good player. But again, look at what he's coming up against. And you are judging what we have picked. You're judging them. They've marked the cream, and they've done well against the cream. Do you know what I mean?
Hey, Tommy O'Connell's a good joke. Even when he came on the All-Ireland final, and he hasn't really been starting recently, despite being one of the few players who's good in the league. He's definitely underage for this. I'm not saying he necessarily gets in, but I think we certainly name check him.
Good player, was one of their best players in the league, but whether it was form or otherwise, couldn't get into this team and wasn't even coming on that much until the All-Ireland final recently. Very good player though, and would expect him to potentially break in over the next couple of years. Hey, come here, just a quick segue. I saw the odds for next year's All-Ireland. Cork are second favourites. Limerick 13-8, I think. Cork 11-4, Clare 9-2, Galway 9-1, Kilkenny somewhere in the middle there. Sound about right?
Were you able to get a price on Tip at all?
It was, the way to do it in racing, it's like, 14-1 bar, like basically anything that they don't think has a chance to just say a bar.
Right, okay. I did not know that, but thanks for it. I would say I'd have Limerick as number 1 for next year. I think it's going to be tough for Clare to do 2 in a row. Like they clearly have the quality. Obviously, they're all Ireland champions. I'd have Clare and Cork as joint second favourites.
Did you see the front of the Clare champion this week? Drive for 5 completed. As in it's their 5th All-Ireland. Like, yeah, I really appreciate that because I didn't really think about it like that. I knew it was their 5th, obviously, but I didn't think about it like that. Like, isn't it great when you win to get a little cut at your neighbours as well?
Yeah. So I'd have those. Then you probably have to have Kilkenny next just because there's no getting away from it. Leinster is poor. So they're going to get through to an All-Ireland quarterfinal minimum. And then after that, sure, like we don't even know who's over Galway next. We don't know what the situation is going to be.
Galway are 9-1 to win the All-Ireland next year. It's like you'd have to know what the scenario is there. I'm sure we'll find out over the cup. I tell you something. I was only thinking about this, like, you know, Waterford are a very good team, very good players, but it's not the most appetising thing in the world when you look at Munster next year. Limerick have a point to prove, and they're going for 7 in a row. Clare are the All-Ireland champions, and Cork have a point to prove, and are trying to end a 20-year famine. Like, there's a fair amount
in that province, or is it just the 4 teams?
Well, I'm just saying there's 3 big hitters that you have to try and take down. Like, you're behind the 8-ball before you start.
The key isn't in what you're saying, it's in what you're not saying here. The boot you're getting into me through what you're not saying.
I actually didn't mean it like that, but fair point.
Yeah, geez, there's nothing worse than not being relevant, and that's what that comment feels like. We're not even there to be smeared anymore. Look,
pity now.
We won't be down for too long. I hope I don't eat those words, but I don't feel we'll be down for all that long.
Well, I hope you're not down. I hope you're not down for too long because hurling needs everybody.
Is there anything to be said for another mass here, or getting Brian Hayes in? Brian Hayes, Dublin.
Nah, he had a good year. I put it this way, right?
Yeah.
Brian Hayes had a good year, but he won't get an All-Star, and he might get nominated for an All-Star. He probably will. Cian Kenny had a brilliant year and will get nominated for an All-Star and could get one, and has a couple of years behind him as well.
Okay, right.
More credit in the bank.
Right. Okay, we'll go through this team. You might count up how many players from anyway, it probably doesn't matter. Barry Hogan in goals, Adam Hogan, Mark Fitzgerald, Mikey Butler, that's really strong. Kieran Joyce, Rob Downey, Dermot Ryan, athletic, physical, can hurl.
A holding wing back and a going forward wing back.
Cian Kenny and Cathal O'Neill, possibly 2 attack minded.
No, Cian Kenny's the forager now, but he can score as well. Yeah,
okay. Adrian Mullen, Rogers, Barrett. Who's going to be your smash 'em up type player there?
Mullen, I'd say of the 3, he's also going to be the one that falls a bit deeper, and Rogers and Barrett are going to float and find space as they have done brilliantly this year.
Who's going to be your, Peter Duggan under the puck out stuff?
Brian Hayes.
But it didn't work in the All-Ireland final.
Okay. As Davy Burke says, don't just judge it all on one game.
Alan Connolly and Owen Cody, geez, that's a serious team. And, between yourself and the viewers, you've done everything you can to keep Jake Morris out of the team. And obviously, I'm not happy about that. But hey,
who's the manager? Who's the manager?
So you're looking for a young manager?
Tony Gleeson was mentioned in the comments. He was with the Offaly 20s this year and Kilcormac last year. He definitely will be a tip man. If you want to get another tip man in there, he's Burgess man. He definitely will be one of the up and coming coaches. Anyway,
I'm happy to go with that.
At least Jamie Wall was mentioned too, and as regards depends what we're defining on young. James Woodlock still looks young, but he must be the good 40, is he?
About 38, 39, something like that, because he's the same age or age group as my brother. So yeah, he must be around that.
Thinking of other youngish managers. Can't think of too many other really young lads.
Yeah. Probably, Woodlock could certainly be in the mix there. Shane Hassett with Clare, but he's a coach rather than a manager, so we're splitting hairs, aren't we?
I think Jamie's the manager, realistically. He has a fair CV assembled already. It's only a matter of time before he's involved with minors or 20s or seniors with Cork, maybe.
Okay, well look, that's it for the show, I'd say, is it?
Yeah, good team there now. Looking forward to the Glen boys absolutely going mad at you. They loved you for your talking up the Downies until now, and now you kicked Owen out of the team.
Well, look, I mean, to be fair, I got Rob in, so.
Well, yeah, that was a bit of a no-brainer now, to be fair.
Yeah. Right, that's it, folks. We'll see you on Monday. Enjoy the All-Ireland football final, and we'll chat to you then.
See you, Shelo.